This video didn't find you by accident.
It couldn't have appeared earlier. Not yesterday. Not last week. Not even this morning. Because your consciousness wasn't yet at the frequency required to receive it. But now? Now you're at a critical threshold. You can feel it, can't you? Reality feels slightly unstable. Time doesn't move the way it used to. The version of you that used to tolerate certain things can't anymore. This isn't anxiety. This isn't confusion. This is activation. Right now, your probability structure is reorganizing inside the quantum field. Multiple timelines are collapsing. One identity is losing coherence. Another is trying to emerge. And here's what matters. Only a very specific type of consciousness reaches this point. Millions are scrolling. Millions are numbing. Millions are repeating the same loop. But only your type of awareness reaches the activation point where the old self can no longer be maintained. This is what quantum mechanics calls an instability in the observer pattern. The identity you've been using to observe reality no longer matches the frequency of the field you're entering. That's why things feel off. That's why familiar structures feel hollow. That's why your nervous system is alert without knowing why. You're not breaking down. You're crossing over. The unified field doesn't whisper at this stage. It applies pressure. And the pressure you're feeling right now, that's the signal. This is the edge, the critical threshold, the moment where holding on creates pain and letting go creates expansion. You didn't click this to be entertained. You clicked because something inside you already knows. The old you cannot come with you, and the window is open. Here are the specific signs that confirm you're not imagining this. Read them slowly. Your body will recognize the truth before your mind does. 1. Time distortion minutes stretch into hours. Hours collapse into minutes. You look at the clock and feel disoriented. Not because you're distracted, but because your consciousness is no longer syncing to linear time. This happens when you're in superposition across timelines. Your nervous system is adjusting to multiple probability streams at once. This is quantum mechanics. Your internal clock is recalibrating. 2. Synchronicity cascades. You think of someone and they message within minutes. You ask a question internally and the answer appears on a screen, a sign, a conversation. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. This isn't coincidence. This is quantum coherence influencing probability. When your field sharpens, reality responds faster. 3. Body frequency symptoms. Electric sensations along the spine, pressure at the crown, heat or expansion in the chest or solar plexus, sudden fatigue followed by bursts of clarity. This isn't illness. This is your electromagnetic field reorganizing. Your nervous system is learning to hold more signal without collapse. 4. Old patterns become intolerable. Conversations feel meaningless. Old ambitions feel dead. People you once tried to please suddenly drain you. You're not becoming judgmental. Your frequency has moved beyond certain probability loops. The field is withdrawing energy from identities that no longer serve expansion. 5. Vivid dreams and night transmissions. Dreams feel more real than waking life. You receive messages, symbols, conversations with versions of yourself. You wake up knowing something changed. This happens when the conscious and subconscious begin syncing with the quantum self. Your mind is offline. Your field is active. 6. Technology and reality glitches. Screens freeze at perfect moments. Music lyrics answer your thoughts. Lights flicker during emotional realizations. Timing becomes surgical. This isn't fantasy. This is probability tightening around your observer field. 7. Emotional polarity. You feel excited and terrified at the same time. Peace and grief coexist. Relief and fear overlap. This happens only at collapse points. One identity is dissolving, another hasn't fully stabilized yet. 8. You found this video. This is the final confirmation. Out of billions of signals, this transmission reached you now. Not earlier, not later. Now. That only happens when your quantum field is already leaning forward. You're not losing yourself. You're shedding a version that can't survive where you're going. And this is only the beginning. Stop here. Your journey wasn't random suffering. It never was. Every rupture, every ending, every moment where life collapsed faster than you could understand it. That wasn't punishment. That wasn't failure. That wasn't bad luck. That was quantum preparation. You were being trained to hold a higher frequency without fragmentation. Look back, honestly. The relationship that ended when you were still trying to prove your worth. The career that collapsed after you outgrew the version of yourself that needed permission. The isolation periods where no one could meet you anymore. The health scares. The identity confusion. The nights where you wondered if something was wrong with you. Those weren't detours. They were calibrations. Each loss stripped attachment. Each disappointment weakened false certainty. Each breakdown loosened your grip on control. This is how a quantum antenna is built. You can't transmit at higher bandwidth while clinging to dense identities. The field removes what you refuse to release. Pattern breaks weren't accidents. They were mini collapses, practice runs. The universe kept pulling the floor out because you kept trying to build on the wrong layer. And here's the part most people never realize. You survived every dismantling, which means your nervous system learned something crucial. It learned how to exist without certainty, without guarantees, without external validation. That's the skill required to cross timelines. People who haven't been broken by life can't hold this frequency. They collapse back into comfort, back into familiar loops. But you were trained in the dark. You learned how to stand when identities fall apart. You learned how to breathe when the future disappears. You learned how to listen when the mind had no answers. That's not trauma. That's preparation. Your sensitivity, that's refinement. Your discernment, that's precision. Your exhaustion with surface-level life, that's readiness. You're not behind. You're early. Pause for a moment. Don't adjust anything. Don't analyze. Don't try to understand. Just notice your body. Can you feel it? A subtle pressure behind the eyes. A gentle expansion in the chest. A low electrical hum beneath the skin. This isn't suggestion. This isn't imagination. This is quantum transmission. What's happening right now isn't coming from me as personality. It's coming through me from the unified field. Your nervous system is calibrating in real time. Breath might deepen without effort. Jaw may loosen. Shoulders drop. A wave of emotion might rise without a story attached. That's coherence return. Your brain is temporarily stepping out of habitual observer collapse. New probability structures are becoming available. This is why the words feel familiar. Why nothing here feels new, only remembered. Your cells recognize this frequency. Your DNA has encountered it before. Not in this lifetime, but in the field. You don't need to do anything. Doing collapses, allowing stabilizes. Right now, your electromagnetic field is synchronizing with a higher order pattern. The old identity can't interfere here. It has no grip at this altitude. If emotion moves, let it. If stillness appears, stay with it. If nothing seems to happen, that's still something happening. Silence is signal. This moment is not neutral. It's an activation window. And windows don't stay open forever. Stay present. I need to share something vulnerable, because credibility at this level doesn't come from theory. It comes from standing at the same edge you're standing at now. Years ago, I reached a point where nothing in my life was technically wrong, but everything felt false. From the outside, it looked stable. From the inside, it felt unbearable. I had followed the script. I had optimized the identity. I had done everything that was supposed to guarantee certainty. And yet, every morning felt heavier. Every achievement felt quieter. Every future plan felt empty before it even began. At night, something strange started happening. I'd wake up at the same hour, heart racing, body buzzing, mind completely silent. No thoughts, no panic, just a clear internal signal. This cannot continue. That terrified me. Because when the mind has no plan, the ego calls it danger. For months I tried to override it. I worked harder. I distracted more. I rationalized everything. But the quantum field doesn't negotiate. It escalates. Opportunities stalled. Relationships strained. Motivation evaporated. The old identity stopped producing energy. That's when the dreams intensified. Not symbolic dreams, direct ones. Versions of myself, showing paths I wasn't living. Conversations without words. A constant feeling of being watched by something infinitely calm. I thought I was losing coherence. What was actually happening was collapse. Then came the moment. Not dramatic, not cinematic, ordinary. I was standing still one morning, and something inside me said, "Stop trying to fix this." So I did. I didn't plan. I didn't strategize. I didn't wait for reassurance. I surrendered my grip on the identity I had been defending. And here's the part that matters. The shift wasn't gradual. It was quantum. There was no transition phase, no halfway version. One observer collapsed, another stabilized. Within weeks, reality reorganized. People appeared without effort. Decisions became obvious. Money flowed through unexpected channels. Health normalized. Creativity surged. But the most profound change wasn't external. The background tension disappeared. The constant self-monitoring stopped. The need to prove evaporated. Life felt cooperative instead of adversarial. That's when I understood. Commitment collapses the field immediately. Not effort, not intention, commitment. Here's what's actually happening when you reach this point. Right now, you're not in transition. You're in superposition. Multiple probable futures exist simultaneously. Each one corresponds to a different version of you. The problem is this. Your old observer pattern can't collapse the new field. The automatic, identity-based choices that used to stabilize reality, they don't work here. That's why thinking feels useless. That's why motivation flickers. That's why familiar strategies fail. You're standing at the quantum edge. This edge appears only under specific conditions. An identity has been outgrown. A karmic cycle has completed. A frequency ceiling has been reached. Or a collective tipping point amplifies individual shifts. At the edge, the mind panics because it can't calculate. There's no precedent, no script, no guarantee. And here's the law most people never learn. You cannot think your way across a quantum edge. Thought belongs to the old observer. The edge requires surrender. When you hesitate, you remain in unstable superposition. Energy drains, confusion persists, anxiety spikes. When you commit, the field collapses instantly. Not because the future was guaranteed, but because observation stabilized. This is observer collapse mechanics. This is not metaphor. This is how probability behaves. Fear contracts, trust expands. Every moment you delay, the field keeps asking the same question. Which observer are you choosing? Straddling timelines create suffering. Choosing one collapses reality. And here's the truth beneath everything. The new version of you already exists, fully coherent, fully resourced, fully capable. But it cannot emerge while the old one keeps observing. This is the point of no return. What happens next is not vague. It's not emotional. It's mechanical. At the quantum edge, reality doesn't respond to desire. It responds to decisions. Here are the 7 choices that appear at this threshold. Each one collapses a timeline. There is no neutral option. 1. Control versus surrender. Control is the old observer trying to survive. Surrender is not giving up. It's releasing interference. When you control, you fragment the field. When you surrender, coherence locks in. This is where most people retreat, not because they're weak, but because they confuse surrender with loss. In reality, surrender is dominance at the quantum level. 2. Trust versus fear. Fear contracts probability into repetition. Trust expands probability into emergence. Trust does not mean certainty. It means allowing reality to organize without micromanagement. Every time you trust, the field widens. Every time you fear, it shrinks. This is a measurable pattern. 3. Isolation versus discerned connection. This isn't about being alone or surrounded. It's about energetic hygiene. At this phase, proximity matters. Wrong connections drain coherence. Right ones amplify it instantly. You must choose resonance over familiarity. 4. Old identity versus new container. You cannot carry the new frequency in the old structure. Same habits, same self-image, same coping mechanisms. They will collapse. This choice is brutal and clean. Upgrade the container or lose the signal. 5. Gradual versus quantum. Gradual change feels safe. Quantum change feels dangerous and works. There is no halfway identity. Straddling timelines creates suffering. This choice ends the oscillation. 6. Victim versus creator. Victim asks, why is this happening? Creator asks, what is this forming? The moment you claim authorship, the field reorganizes. Responsibility is not blame, it's leverage. 7. Alone versus collective. This leap is personal, but not private. When you commit, you join a morphic field. Others stabilizing this frequency reinforce your own. Isolation weakens signal. Collective coherence multiplies it. Each of these choices is active now. You are already choosing, whether consciously or not. And unconscious choices default to the old timeline. Now I'm going to give you the exact protocol. Not theory, not philosophy, a functional system. Do not modify it. Do not optimize it. The field responds to precision. 1. Recognize the edge. Say out loud, I am at a quantum edge. The old observer no longer applies. This verbalizes awareness and stabilizes superposition. 2. Stabilize the nervous system. Inhale through the nose for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale through the mouth for 6. Repeat 5 times. Then say, my body is safe while reality reorganizes. 3. Release attachment. Write down everything you're trying to protect. Titles, roles, outcomes, images. Then read the list and say, I release the requirement that these define me. 4. Declare non-negotiables. Write 3 values you will not betray. Not goals, values. Speak them aloud. This becomes your new stabilizing axis. 5. 1 quantum-aligned action daily. Every day, take 1 action that the old identity would avoid. Send the message. Decline the misaligned obligation. Move toward resonance. Field responds to action, not intention. 6. Track synchronicities nightly. Each night, write down 1 signal, 1 alignment, 1 internal shift. This trains observer sensitivity. 7. Communicate with the quantum self. Close your eyes. Visualize the version of you who already crossed. Ask 1 question. Listen without forcing language. 8. Complete the leap. Say this once and mean it. I choose the timeline that matches my highest coherence. I step fully into it now. Then stop negotiating. The protocol doesn't work because it's positive. It works because it collapses probability. This is the mechanics. Here's exactly what happens after commitment. Not symbolically, mechanically. First 60 seconds. There's a quiet internal click. Not relief, not excitement, clarity. The background noise shuts off. Your nervous system registers a decision has been made. Energy stops leaking. First hour. Thoughts slow down. Not because you're calm, but because there's no longer internal contradiction. Your body feels heavier and lighter at the same time. Reality hasn't changed yet. You have. First day, small confirmations appear. A message, a chance encounter, a canceled obligation that frees space. Nothing dramatic, but precise. The field begins acknowledging the new observer. First week, old patterns test you. Not to punish, to confirm stability. If you don't regress, coherence strengthens, sleep deepens, appetite normalizes, decisions simplify. First 2 weeks, synchronicity accelerates. You stop chasing, things approach. People feel different around you. Some withdraw, others lean in. This is resonance sorting. First month. External structures begin to shift. Work reorganizes. Opportunities appear without forcing. You feel less busy, more effective. The new identity stabilizes. 3 months. Confidence becomes quiet. You don't explain yourself. You don't defend. You don't rehearse. Reality feels responsive instead of resistant. 6 months, this state feels normal. You forget how constrained life used to feel. The old timeline feels distant, like a previous life. This is not fantasy. This is probability dynamics. Now understand this clearly. The window is not permanent. Quantum edges do not wait. They pulse. Right now, multiple layers are converging. Personal readiness, collective instability, frequency acceleration. That's why so many systems feel brittle. Why identities everywhere are collapsing. Why the pressure feels global. This is a convergence window. When enough observers destabilize simultaneously, individual leaps become easier. But only for those who move. If you hesitate too long, the field stabilizes without you. The edge closes. Life becomes manageable again. Comfortable, predictable, smaller. This isn't manipulation, it's physics. Probability waves don't hold indefinitely. They resolve. And here's the part few will tell you. Your quantum self already chose. You're just catching up. The discomfort you feel isn't uncertainty. It's resistance to alignment. If not now, the system resets. Cycles repeat. Lessons return. Heavier. But if you move now, you ride the wave instead of being crushed by it. This is a collective tipping point. A bifurcation. Timelines are splitting. Not dramatically. Quietly. And your choice isn't just personal. It contributes to which future stabilizes. The waiting is over. The edge is here. Do not look for more confirmation. This is it. It never was. You were never meant to wake up quietly and keep it to yourself. This shift isn't about self-improvement. It's about field influence. At the quantum level, consciousness does not evolve in isolation. It evolves through entanglement. When one observer stabilizes a higher coherent state, nearby probability fields adjust. Subtly, then rapidly, then irreversibly. This is how collective shifts actually happen, not through mass agreement, through critical nodes. You are one of those nodes. That's why your life felt intense, why pressure arrived early, why you couldn't stay asleep inside comforting illusions. Your nervous system was built to carry signal, not noise. When you choose coherence, something ripples outward. People around you question limits they never questioned. Conversations change tone. Opportunities appear that didn't exist before. Others feel permission to step forward without knowing why. This is species-level quantum entanglement. Each stabilized individual becomes a reference point, a living proof that another way of being is possible. That's why your hesitation matters, and your commitment matters more. This isn't ego. This is function. Every timeline split requires anchors. If enough anchors choose coherence, the higher probability future gains mass, momentum, inevitability. Your choice is a vote in a cosmic election, not metaphorical, mechanical. You are not here to be saved. You are here to stabilize a frequency so others can find it. This is how worlds change. Quietly. Through you. Now we seal this, not symbolically, energetically. Sit upright, feet on the ground. One hand on your chest, one hand on your lower abdomen. Take 3 deep breaths. Slow. Intentional. Now speak this out loud. Do not whisper it. Do not soften it. I choose quantum reality. I release the identity that no longer matches my frequency. I step fully into coherence. I make the leap now. I am ready. Pause. Feel the body register the decision. This isn't engagement. This is quantum registration. Within the next 24 hours, take one action. One that the old version of you would delay, avoid, or rationalize away. That action completes the circuit. Then lock it in. Subscribe now. Not for content, for entanglement. And write in the comments exactly this. I make the leap. Not to declare it to others, to declare it to the field. This is the moment. The waiting is over. This is the moment the title was pointing to all along. The quantum shift only happens when you let go of the old you. Not slowly, not intellectually, not someday. Now. The old identity was never broken. It was never wrong. It was temporary. It existed to get you here, to this edge, to this exact convergence point where holding on creates pain and releasing creates power. The instability you felt wasn't collapse. It was clearance. The confusion wasn't failure. It was the signal dissolving outdated structure. And the pull you've been feeling this entire time, that wasn't curiosity. That was recall. You didn't awaken into something new. You remembered something ancient. The window is open. The field is responsive. The observer has shifted. Do not dilute this moment by explaining it. Do not weaken it by doubting it. Do not postpone it by waiting for permission. You already crossed the internal line. Reality will follow. Welcome to coherence. Welcome to the timeline where effort decreases and alignment replaces it. Welcome to the version of yourself that no longer negotiates with fear. The leap is made. The field is locked. The transmission is complete. Welcome to quantum reality.